hand is the Qiyana. And that's available for Heng.
Right.
And that is the big question for us. I mean, you even called it out, as we say. You have to imagine that BLG know about this as well. It's a Rumble lock-in first, however, for LGD.
All right, so we do get Rumble, like you said. A bunch of tanks are still available for Wenbo if he decides to go that route. Really, the only one that's removed is that Cassante. So, like, Ornn is still an option. You can still go Scion, even though he's kind of fallen out of meta. Galio is still there, too. But BLG are going to opt to pivot a little bit and decide on the Aurora. I would imagine this is probably gonna go over tonight. I think there is it's pretty difficult to see a world where they give Wenbo the Aurora at this current moment, because although Wenbo has been adequate and good enough to, I would say, give BLG a fifth man to play around with, giving them something to apply pressure, I think him on carries has been an experiment that hasn't really been explored thus far to a very positive result so far for BLG. So probably not going to see the Aurora in top, though Caitlyn does mean Viper gets one of his best champions, and maybe we see something like a Seraphine paired alongside it, or a Karma to give you some of that extra oomph in the laning phase.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, and some of those include flexes for BLG. Especially with the Aurora, of course, and I mean, I have to technically acknowledge the Caitlyn that can technically be flexed. I'm going to say it, even though it sounds silly,
right.
But if it happens, man, do I want to have said it. On the other hand, LGD are going to continue with, honestly, some pretty classic picks. They go with the Jhin. I think it's a little early for a Jhin, but it does incentivize you to pick a tank top lane instead of just putting Aurora up there, which I think is a pretty heads-up play, so that you don't have to go with a Rumble into Aurora lane if they do choose to, I guess, go that direction as BLG. The Vi, however, does make me a little bit sad, because I wanted to see Qiyana. I'm not seeing Qiyana, and now if LGD lose, I'm going to say it's because they didn't pick Qiyana, and that's all.
Well, does still mean that you have a good amount of damage and you have playmaking from Heng. I think if you want to try and draw similarities from the Lee Sin champion of game number 2 to the Vi, you have a way to get into the fight, right? You have a way to really start things off aggressively. I will say the timing from both of those champions is significantly different. I think that Heng is now going to be way more reliant on the level 6 spike compared to last game, where it was just, hey, we loaded into Summoner's Rift, let's just fight as soon as possible. He has to play a little bit more cautiously until he gets access to that cease and desist. So maybe there is a window where BLG can pick an aggressive jungler for themselves to try and go for something like that. As I'm not fully convinced that this is going to be Shun on the Poppy. There is certainly a world where On decides to go for this as well, and it is a pretty good Caitlyn pairing as well to just get you those wall slams and secure those traps for you.
And you could go with another one as well. Flex the Poppy elsewhere, get an even more powerful pairing with Caitlyn for the lane, and just continue to pile eggs into this Caitlyn basket. Say, you want to deal with us, you want to find a win against BLG, you're going to have to take it off of Viper, who we are empowering to the maximum. And that seems to be the game plan here with a Lux lock-in. Everything is pointing to Viper picking Caitlyn, or rather playing Caitlyn, and playing, more importantly, the hero for BLG.
Not a ton of stuff to reflect here, so I'm not really super confident this Mel is going to be locked in, and if it is, I struggle to see how it thematically fits with the rest of what LGD want to do. Seraphine, on the opposite end, I think gives you another way to start up a fight. You do already, like we said, have Heng, who's able to get that cease and desist, but you're able to actually taxi the Encore with Vi. It follows her throughout the entire duration, so you can get some real range on that Seraphine ult if you use it correctly and if you time that combo with one another. So if they could get that done, that would be super cinematic and cool looking. But LGD, to finish off the draft, it looks like are just going to go for the Annie. A solid blind gives you more magic damage, and just that's a lot of AP from LGD, actually. They've got a lot of magic damage and not a ton of physical damage until Shaoye really starts to get some items under his belt. So gives Shun very easy access to just say, hey, let's go for MR items in this game, because they've got essentially 3 mages.
Yeah, and you've got somebody to deal with even in the later stages of the game. You throw Knight on Shaoye, and he's not going to be attacking Shun. He's going to be running for his freaking life. There is a lot of threat onto the immobile carry for LGD, and Tangyuan you don't really have to worry about. This is arguably Burdol's chance to shine as a real player that can take over in the mid game, given the pick that they've gone for with him. I will say, I am not personally as hyped on Burdol's Rumble as I am on his Ambessa. That is not to naysay the player. He's an incredible player. But in terms of difference makers, it has always been the Ambessa where he is able to make the biggest splash for LGD. And that means that there's a lot. There's a lot that LGD have to deal with. We've removed the Lee Sin. We've got Vi in its place. We removed the Ambessa. We've got Rumble in its place. Both of these are good champions. Are they as good as the peak LGD we just saw?
That is the question. Can you repeat the same formula with essentially different components, with different ingredients? And I think that LGD have the potential to play aggressively in this game. Maybe not as proactively early, but still, they can fight and they can scrap, and I would have it no other way if they are going to beat BLG.
Even during the break, like outside of the game, just in the intermission, there was a lot of preparation for this play. BLG and LGD, the fans, the players, they are ready to draw blood, and a couple flashes blown already. Maybe even some kills going down as the binding does land. Shaoye getting away underneath the tower, burning both flash and barrier. Well, we've got all of that going on. Shun's going to be able to pick up a camp. Viper keeps both summoners.
Wow, that Raptor went to Narnia to be inconvenient as possible for Shaoye, but it's inconvenient for everyone on LGD. There are multiple sums burned by them, and now Knight. Heng is 1 HP. He doesn't have level 2.
Flash on him. Flash on him. Knight.
He's a Vault Breaker.
Really wants this, but Heng gets away. Heng gets away. Not happy about it, by the way. All those Raptors are up.
Yeah, well, so he doesn't get level 2. And he started with Q, by the way, so it's going to be really hard for him to take these Krugs. And look at Shun. Shun is back onto his top side. He's going to get found out here. Or wait, is he?
Checks the red. No, he checks the red. He's going to find him
right
you! Now. Shun doesn't have flash, but he doesn't need it because the real damage here, as much as I'd love to see a kill early on in the game, bloodthirsty man that I am, is that Heng isn't getting any freaking experience. He's not playing
mental
League of
damage.
Legends.
It's like this is emotional and mental trauma being inflicted onto Heng here. He is still level 1. He started Q. He burned his flash. We talked about Heng being the aggressive engine. This engine, it's not even stalled at this point. This thing is broken down. You're on the side of a highway, and there is no cell service. You cannot call for anyone to assist you.
Yeah, you know those people that, like, they'll drive their car. My father's one of these people. They'll drive their cars, and it'll get low on fuel, and they go, I'm going to see how long I can go without filling this up. And it starts sputtering because it's on fumes. I think whatever less than fumes is what Heng is running on right now. He's got literally nothing. He's picked up 1 camp and a quarter, and he just walked into the bot lane to die. He's dead. He literally just walks into the bot lane to die. The guy is. If I'm Heng,
I'm rage quitting.
Like
I'm rage quitting. Drew Levin can get as mad at me as he wants. He may understand, okay? If I am good at being convincing, he might lift any punishment that is inflicted on me for rage quitting this game, as On taken very low. We've focused so much on the jungler over the past 3.5 minutes, Dia. We haven't even had time to check in on the lanes, but there's a lot of scrapping happening on this bot side.
And there's about to be a little bit more. Knight shows up. Of course, we know Heng can't do anything about this because he has been delayed to the maximum. Heng is starting to show up here. Tangyuan actually teleporting down. So for a second, Knight shows bot lane. He gets a teleport out. He drags the jungler down again. this is still a win for BLG, and nothing happened on paper.
Yeah. All you really did was you burned the teleport off. So now Tangyuan does have the flash still available for himself. So it's still difficult to get a lock on to this Annie. But if they can get a favorable wave state for Knight, if they can bully Tangyuan out of this lane, it will set him behind, just not having that summoner spell available. For the time being, though, it seems like things have mostly gone back to some form of normalcy. Heng is actually able to counter jungle this time around on the respawned Krugs and is actually level 3. So, you know, 3 out of 4 abilities unlocked ain't bad at this point in the game.
Yeah, I mean, the real struggle here is that he's going to be outside of the damage that he's already suffered to his psyche in the first couple minutes of this game. Also significantly delayed on the major power spike that you talked about. He wants to hit level 6. Not just Vi's generally, but Heng specifically. We just saw him play Lee Sin in the way that he did. This is a guy who wants access to the backline. He wants it free, he wants it clean, and he wants it fast. And Vi's ult gives you all of that, and he's going to get it like 3 minutes late.
He is, and I also think that not only does this affect Heng singularly, but this affects the rest of LGD. How are they going to be able to get these fights started, right? Crisp is in a similar situation XP-wise, where Seraphine isn't going to be getting level 6 on the same timer that their solo laners are. Heng is going to be delayed in his level 6, so this just means LGD can't really actually initiate any of these fights, as we do look top lane. Burdol completely whiffing the equalizer, but wants to get the kill.
Anyways, and actually forces flash into Wenbo as well. So Burdol's Rumble pick at the very least has been delivering on what LGD used it for. Lane priority.
Right.
And the chance to make this a tool that they can win the game with later. As to whether that happens, we still don't know. Yes, the early game has rocketed out of LGD's control to the tune of 1 dragon so far, and of course the 1 kill. But as early games out of control go, it could also be significantly worse.
Yeah, they've brought it back to somewhere where they can actually cordially farm and, you know, get experience. I think that BLG, obviously a 2.3k gold lead at less than 7 minutes is still extremely bad and very detrimental, and Heng is literally down like half the CS of his counterpart, but I still think that, you know, compared to the first few minutes, it's all right. I'm really trying to be optimistic here about the level of competitiveness here in this game, because again, like I said, if you don't have these engage tools, it's hard for you to actually look for these plays. You have to be doing stuff like this, which is going to rely on dives, because now Wenbo is in trouble.
Moving to the other side, Wenbo does get stunned, and gets stunned outside of tower range as well. Tangyuan ends up moving up with Heng to make the play happen, but now Knight is here to try and collect the kill, make this a 1-for-1. Is going to look for it with the Shroud, tries to walk up on Tangyuan, actually flashes on him, but does not collect the kill. Shun is here as well just to watch these 3 walk away, and when Heng isn't able to step up, Tangyuan helps him pick up the slack.
Agent Shun, he is surrounded by LGD members, though Burdol can't really move to help him.
Surely Heng doesn't die here. He does lose the Grump, but the man is fine. Ends up surviving this. Burdol gets to keep farming up just fine up against Knight. A solo kill here would not be unimaginable given Knight's
oh my God, it
performance
didn't kill the wave.
in the LPL, but unfortunately that cannon minion surviving does let Shun start walking underneath the tower, tanks up a lot of damage, but Burdol again survives.
Yeah. Knight not able to land that shuriken flip off of the wall stun. Will allow the Rumble to get out, but still he's forced to reset, he's forced to teleport back to lane, and BLG still have control over this top side. So all things considered, they will get the grubs. They will at least walk away with some type of advantage, even if they could have gotten the kill and gotten the grubs. At least they got one of those things.
Oh my God.
And they canceled on back, so BM from Shun.
Yeah, that's tilting. That's an emote moment, I think. That's what emotes were really intended for. As it stands, though, I mean, you know, we had mentioned that the early game obviously not going super well for LGD. The fact that they're clawing something back is great. And this actually reminds me a lot of game number 1 for BLG, where, remember, Shaoye gets a double kill like 1 minute. It's a trash way to start the game. But they end up making it work. They end up making it competitive in the early game. And ultimately, BLG win the game because they're able to stabilize it. And I am seeing a decent amount of that from LGD right now. Yes, Heng got behind, but that's not out of control. He's level 6 now, and he's ready to make a gank bot lane. He finds On, immediately locks him up, and Shun is on the way, but Shun is a little bit late. Heng gets to pick up the kill, and Viper looks for an answer. Flash and Shaoye should be able to find it, and even through the shield will do so. As Knight comes down, Heng's now running for his life away from Shun, but an ace in the hole will finish him off. A double kill for Viper, and it's just as LGD started to come back.
And Viper, I mean, he's been collecting plates. You can see how low the bot side tier 1 is. He's so much further ahead than Shaoye. He can go for the 1v2, and he manages to get a double kill for himself. Shaoye and Crisp just not prepared, don't have enough damage, and don't have enough distance to actually follow up with that engage from Heng outside of the Deadly Flourish. Now Wenbo is potentially in trouble. A trade of ultimates from top laners, but looks like it is going to be fine for now.
On throws his in there for good measure. Just, you know, participating in the top lane for now.
Yeah. You know, he's trying to include himself in the scuffling activity there, but going back to this replay here, yeah, I mean, Heng, access to level 6, this is exactly what you're supposed to do when you have the cease and desist. You look for a play, but the thing is, Shaoye basically costs his entire health bar just to support his jungler going for that kill. He basically puts himself right in the line of fire, both literally and metaphorically. Viper is able to easily pick him up with the flash follow, and then Shaoye following as well does end up going, or Heng rather, ends up going down. So Viper now in a really commanding position. I feel like unless you're able to make up the difference somewhere else, or you're able to punish this Caitlyn at some point, there's no world where you will ever be able to contest these future dragons as LGD.
Yeah, to me, Burdol has to essentially transcend, because Tangyuan's not going to do it. I mean,
our Burdol believing has to come through in like full force.
Yeah. He's got to become a top prospect, top laner in the LPL for this game to be won, because as it is, Annie's not going to pick up this slack just as a champion. She's not going to do it. And there's a 2,000 gold lead in the bot lane. That is more than half an item that Viper is up on Shaoye. It is going to be a mad mid-game transition for this Caitlyn, and that's going to be with 2 dragons backing her up, as Shun, of course with the pressure that Viper had earlier, is able to just grab these.
Ana's in the area as well. You can see they're looking to try and put a dive onto Wenbo, but Flash is available for Aurora. Ult is coming off of cooldown, and Lux is here to peel. Let's see how it goes.
This better work, but teleport,
all right,
it doesn't.
And foiled again. But LGD maybe looking for a cheeky engage onto On, but he's maybe gonna fall for it.
Yeah, he absolutely is. I mean, what LGD really wanted, they can get it. Like, that's what the ult from Vi is for, and a kill on the support is something. It's something for their time.
But it's an ultimate for a support. It really feels like the trade at this point isn't great for LGD when they're having to expend that many resources just to kill one of the less valuable members on BLG at this point in the game. Luckily, though, it is at a timer where it's kind of difficult for BLG to punish that. No objective will be up for a while. We've still got a little less than a minute and a half until the Herald spawns. So by then, all the ultimates will be back up. And Flash, crucially, will be there for Heng as well. So some engage potential will be there for LGD. And this is kind of the moment where we were hoping if the game was at parity gold-wise, they would start looking for those engages. They would start looking for those plays that we saw in game number 2. But Dia, the gold difference is very much so not in parity.
Yeah, this is hugely BLG favored, because, I mean, at this point in the game, 3,000 gold means a lot, especially when 2,000 of it is on one person. Viper, I know we said Burdol needs to transcend. Viper's actually the one doing it right now. He's going to be a full item ahead of anyone else in the lobby if they keep up at this pace, as first tower has already fallen in the bot lane. He's taken a good chunk out of the second one in top lane as well. And things could not be going better for an AD carry to be drafting yourself a lane where you were completely in charge and manifesting that 3-0 2.3 KO.
And despite the Herald spawning in 10 seconds, you can see BLG really have no reason to hastily go for that objective. They want to continue influencing the map as a whole. They don't want to all group up in order to take an objective. They're trying to play this game fast and choke out LGD before they can group up and look for this wombo combo that their team comp is built around. So good awareness there from BLG, just recognizing what LGD want to do and not really giving them any moments or opportunities to actually accomplish that.
Viper's legit 2 items, by the way. Shaoye has a Yomu's and a Cull.
Doesn't even have it completed.
Viper's 2 items. It's just the reality that LGD are dealing with right now. This is a good flash, though, from Tangyuan if they can find Viper, but Viper gets away, flashing out over the wall, completely safe now on Caitlyn. I say as Heng jumps on top of him.
Oh, he got him.
Heng picks up the kill, plays hero for a moment. It is 2 for 3 in the favor of BLG, but killing Viper is an unimaginable buff.
That is absolutely worth it for BLG, and I mean, Shun now isn't really able to advance to the river at all to threaten the Herald. There's nothing that will come of getting more kills at the end of the day. He's going to have to reset instead. So LGD finally find their way onto Viper, and crucially, he loses his flash. Dragon is up in about a minute once we get back from this replay, so that is something Caitlyn won't have going into that fight. But on this replay, you can see Viper gets aggressed onto, but Heng just with the flash. Viper not respecting that summoner spell is possibly available for the Vi. He gets taken down, trades his life for it, but as we have said, that is so unimaginably in favor of LGD being able to shut down Viper and get all of that gold.
I mean, it cuts down Viper's lead on Shaoye by like 30%, and it completely reverses Heng, who was behind in gold earlier. He's now ahead. I mean, he's ahead technically. He's even with Shun, but that is a big remedy for an early game that sucked for Heng.
It really did, and Dragon, 20 seconds here. You can see that LGD zoned off from the bot side just because even though Viper went down, this is still his 2-item Caitlyn. He still inst clears waves. And so BLG are going to just hold on to control over this zone that allows LGD to cross over to possibly contest the neutral objective spawning in just a couple of seconds. But crucially, Herald is still here, and Tangyuan is caught, by the way.
Should be able to get out, but Shun flashes to secure the kill. With that numbers advantage, I think it makes it an easy Rift Herald for BLG.
Can certainly go for it, as we do still have ultimate now from Shun, so we'll certainly sway the 50-50 in favor of BLG, but he's more concerned with fighting.
Stepping 1 foot out of line once again, and Encore will connect with him, and trading 1 for 1 is all right, but when you trade jungler for mid laner, the objective becomes available.
It does. LGD going to go toward that top side. Herald should be theirs without a jungler. BLG don't really have the opportunity to trade necessarily for the neutrals. They will try to trade for a turret, but I don't believe the remaining wave is big enough, so that will stand to where now the rest of LGD can cover for that wave. But they don't really have great wave clear and or damage, so I think this is going to go to BLG regardless. They do manage to find at least something back in return for losing that.
And a standing gold going the way of BLG is propping up still a pretty massive gold lead, but it is still propping it up. These are the things that matter the most, are the temporary objectives, the dragons that BLG have been able to collect on timers. If they're able to get access to Mountain Soul, it would be great.
We're gonna get a replay here of how exactly Tangyuan got picked off here. The way he was moving made me think there might even just be like a 15% possibility he was looking elsewhere on the map, pans his camera back to his character and sees that he is being jumped onto. Speaking of being jumped onto, as we go back to live.
Once again, Tangyuan. It's almost like a replay. It's not.
It's a replay inside of a replay. You know, I've seen Inception. Feels awfully similar.
If Inception wait, what? Wait, why is this tower not dead?
It's dead. And now. So, LGD will manage to get a turret on that top side, but Dia, I feel like topside tier 1 really doesn't have as much relevancy to the map anymore, because now the big focal point is going to be on the dragons, which BLG are on soul point for, and you still have to deal with tier 1 being up for BLG in mid and bot, so your ability to push up that vision line is stagnated. While you look on the other side, BLG have taken both of those outers. They're going to be able to get some deep wards on you ahead of that objective. So I think in the next few minutes, I'm really going to be looking at what LGD can do in the siege department. Can they threaten these turrets? Can they maybe get some priority around that area? Because if neither of those things, neither of those boxes are checked off by the time this Drake spawns, it's going to be a soul almost surely going over to BLG.
Oh my god, this is exactly what we need to do though! Assassination missions on Viper, who just doesn't get to play League of Legends!
Nope, Viper is it's on site for Heng. He really doesn't like he wishes that Caitlyn and Vi were enemies in Arcane. He had he subscribes to that being like a way more fun story, so he is just flash ulting him, making sure that he cannot have any kind of peace in this game. Though crucially, Viper does still hold on to that summoner spell. So as long as he is able to have flash by the time Dragon spawns, I'm not too worried about him dying.
I will say, you know, like speaking of flash, the good news for all that Viper was unable to press his buttons is that he was also unable to press his flash button. So having that actually kind of good. I can see how this could work in BLG's favor around objectives. As you say, 2 minutes out. That's really the big thing to look at for both LGD and BLG, because it'll make LGD's game so much harder if this Mountain Soul goes over to BLG. I mean, they're already tough to kill, but the 3,000 gold lead has neither shrunk nor grown in the last little while. It's oscillated back and forth, but at the moment, BLG have stayed just as far ahead as they were earlier, which as gold becomes less valuable, actually is favoring LGD, if anything can.
LGD are a comp built around team fighting, and I think that we're going to see that put to the test in about a minute and a half here. But Dia, my biggest concern, on top of Viper still being super strong as this Caitlyn, Knight has been growing that gold lead substantially over the course of this game. He only has 1 kill, but he is almost flame horizoning Tangyuan at 23 minutes into the game. So he'll be really strong going into this fight. And if you're looking to 5v5, a flank from an Akali can break that up real fast, as Heng is still gets hit by the binding.
Binding, hitbox, Omega lol. Shaoye is going to fall as well. The 1 pick was certain. The second sort of given over for free. BLG now get Baron as a result. And I'm going to be molding about that hitbox for a while. There's one thing I love, Quax. It's, you know, I love an underdog story. I love seeing LGD fight their way back. That was a tough way to see him go. And you remember when we said that Knight was Omega farmed? Well, that's the manifestation of it.
We've moved on from farming minions to farming champions. Double for Knight, as he's just going on to Burdol.
Let's get the ultimate down. Burdol does almost turn things on Knight, but Wenbo's here to help clean up. And as the Baron falls, so do all 3 members of LGD. That is a delayed and unofficial, but an ace nonetheless. And BLG now finally grow that gold lead, doubling it in under 2 minutes and heading towards the soul. There can't be many nails in a coffin. I don't actually know how many you need, but it's a dead body inside. But this has got to be one of the few.
I certainly agree with you. And that last play from Knight, there's only one thing that I have to say, Dia. Knight MVP.
Nice. I've seen enough.
I've seen enough. He has one flashy play, and he gets a triple kill. Knight MVP. That's just the way the world works. All right. Any good play from the guy, he gets the MVP. Doesn't get a good play, still gets MVP. I didn't make the rules. As now BLG with the Soul, with the Baron, with a massive, almost 7,000 gold lead for themselves, are barreling down in bot lane. Knight 2 in the mid lane, so a nice 4-1 split coming from them.
Does not seem stoppable, to be honest. Burdol's still waiting on ulti, and that's not going to save the inhibitor. The tower's already gone. How much more are we waiting for? Heng is again on this crazy flank that really worked in game 1, but against Knight is not going to work nearly as well. Hasn't been spotted just yet, but should be just in time for BLG to turn things around onto him. Good pop from On. Just to look for the Vi. They know he's around here somewhere.
It's so difficult for Heng to get any kind of angle at this point, because even if you do manage to find a key priority target to hit with the cease and desist, there's no guarantee that A, that person is going to die right away, or B, that person isn't going to flash and take you deeper into the weeds where you will subsequently get one shot the moment you're out of your own ult animation. So Heng has to be really selective with how he manages to start out any of these fights, but beggars can't be choosers. He doesn't have a lot of options left, Dia.
Knight is so scary right now. I mean, like, ever since you started mentioning the fact that he'd been silently moving up on the side. He still hasn't technically Flame Horizon, but he is incredibly close to doing so. And
he's on a lane by himself.
5,000 gold up. That guy is anybody who steps up to him is going to die. Speaking of people who get chosen to die, Viper was chosen by LGD, and that does get completed. Wenbo gets out over the wall. The majority of BLG survive. But the base from LGD, constantly under threat by Knight, who, by the way, with all that, Flame Horizon, Tangyuan.
Has to be careful. Does have flash available, so should survive the plethora of burn damage coming through from LGD. Is now On. Has to be careful.
Almost thought that another binding was going to come up in BLG. We're going to be able to turn it, but not quite going to be the case. 2 minutes and a half until the Baron 3, until Elder Dragon, which, if we can't find a way to win decisively a team fight in the next 3 minutes by LGD, they're just losing the game.
They are. I think that LGD built a comp around team fighting, and I think I've maybe seen a total of 0 5v5s in this game. It has all just been BLG finding picks, finding plays, being able to scale up a lot of their late game counterpart. Actually, I take that back. There was one 5v5 that we saw, Dia. It was technically a 4v4, but it was level 1 at the Raptors. That is like the most we have gotten. That is literally the closest we have gotten to a team fight, was level 1 when the game just started. That is how isolated all of these picks and all of these plays have been. There has been very little actual team fighting in this game.
Is that, I mean, I agree, it's what the comp does. Is that a bad thing? Because LGD, had they 5v5'd, would have been, well, not doing this, not picking off individual members. But I guess they're going to 5v5 whether they like it or not, because BLG sniffed this play out immediately. Wenbo goes for the engage on Burdol, who does get slowed up, takes a bit of damage, but LGD get out of this. Everyone's here. Literally everyone is in this side of the map. But no Quax. They deny us our wish once again. No 5v5s here.
Baron up in a little less than a minute. Elder following shortly after by about 30 to 45 seconds itself. And Heng is disappearing into the jungle. Will actually be spotted by that control ward. Knight is, he's on the prowl.
Will they find Heng? I mean, yes, they will. And I'm looking around the rest of the map. 20 seconds to Baron, so it looks like they're going to find more than that as well.
All right, well, Heng was, they caught a shiny one, all right? He was out in the wild. Now,
oh God.
They're not even going for the Baron. They're just going straight for kills. Knight teleports.
And Knight can genuinely 1v2 this as well. If Shaoye base checks this, which they very well might, not. Burdol's around looking for Knight. I mean, credit to LGD. They are positioned well to at least save their AD carry, try and find a way to turn things around, but Chris gets insta-deleted. Shaoye is here as well, getting taken out in a 2 versus 4. I've seen enough! Give Knight the MVP!
Blue team's inhibitor has respawned.
Tangyuan, oh my lord! The golden left hand, ladies and gentlemen. Need I say more? Give Knight the MVP.
It's actually, it's never been easy. BLG are in the base right now. Tangyuan is far, far gone from this world as Knight comes back to finish that kill off. Heng is doing God knows what. This is basically a replication of the early game, but somehow Heng is coming out even worse. It has been a tough game for LGD. Heng does have one thing in mind, and it is Caitlyn. Very canonically accurate, but unfortunately for him, even the cannon cannot save. BLG, they've got an exposed Nexus. They've got an exposed LGD as even Knight looks for these last kills on Crisp and Shaoye, but will focus now, hopefully, on the Nexus as BLG do get the chance to pad their stats a little bit, knowing that they have full control of this game. They've regained it after a stumble in game number 2, but BLG remain the favorites and will finish that promise that they give to their viewers, to their fans, that they are the best team, and they are going to win these series that they should win.
Yeah. If ever you needed a convincing win, that is the convincing win that we were hoping for at the beginning of this best of 3 Dia. That was such a well-played game from every member on BLG. The ones we've highlighted having struggles, the ones we've highlighted having security in their play, does not matter. That was BLG at their best, no doubt about it. And Knight making me like more pink than my blazer here. Man, that last play, holy moly, that was some absolutely crazy stuff.
It's not a good time to be colorblind. I just learned that your blazer was pink. I went this whole broadcast thinking it was white. So that's you know.
It's got like some white on it. Well, no, not really. It's like lighter pink. The camera doesn't really do it fully justice. Okay, I need better lighting. If anyone wants to donate, all right, I can open up a fund. But anyway,
yeah, where's our coffee read? Hold up. Yeah. No, I mean, this was to get back to it, because color blindness is real, and you know that's tough. We did have an incredible series, and like you said, Knight played an incredible game, especially at the very end there. You could see that LGD knew what they were supposed to do. They knew that they had their win conditions locked in, I think, by picking off these like individual players, by looking for fights. But I was hearing you during this game talk about how you would have rather seen them team fight, and I was wondering, now that we're post-game, how I mean, I wanted to talk about that a little bit more, because they were so far behind that I was thinking, well, 5v5s, does that really favor them? Would it have been better for them to invest in 5v5s?
At that point, no. Because you're so far behind that the 5v5s doesn't matter. But like early to mid game, when it was within arm's distance of being able to be brought back for LGD, you've got more AoE, you've got more circles equals better team fighting. That's just the calculus and how League of Legends works. But at no point did it feel like LGD were on even ground with BLG. Even from minute number 1, we felt physical pain watching Heng having to traverse the jungle in the first 4 minutes of the match. It was very difficult to witness. And from there, it just kind of felt like the pain never disappeared. It spread to every other member of LGD, and they just distributed it equally.
Yeah, that was, I mean, watching Heng walk around the map was one thing. Watching him walk into bot lane to try and make something happen and insta-die to Caitlyn Lux was, I think, the manifestation of the worst thing that could have happened to LGD is when one role, especially your jungler, being set behind becomes everyone else's problem on a major scale. As it was, from that point on, we did see some redemption plays from Heng. I really liked that even though he was set so far behind, he did get some good pickoff plays. He knew and played to his role, as we will so often see with champions with roles like this. Once you get set behind, it can be very easy to take your hands off the game and go, actually, I need to farm. I'm too far behind to do this. We didn't see that with Heng, which, despite the fact that they lost the game convincingly, was a good news story for me. And that's all that I was looking for LGD in this series, was a good news story, because the win against BLG was so low percent.
I do think that them even just being able to take a game is going to inspire a lot of confidence for this team going forward at a point in the season where, albeit it is still very new here in the summer split, a lot of people were concerned about this team. I mean, after their first initial win against EDG, which was sketchy in of itself, if I'm being honest here, a lot of people were just genuinely like, is this team actually going to be able to be a real threat to some of the other top teams in Ascend that are already starting to brew around the LPL? And I feel like just winning against BLG does answer that question. Yes, even though you lose the series at your ceiling, you're able to actually take games off the best team in the LPL. And if they can just capture that and make it a bit more consistent, I think this is a team that will be very fun to watch the progression of them throughout the split.
So we were not on this broadcast, but Cubby and Yanni were doing a broadcast for the LGD series again last week. And they brought up in their pre-show where they thought LGD would end the split, and both of them agreed that LGD would end the split in 6th place. I'm not holding you to this. You haven't had a lot of time to think about it. Where do you fall on this, having seen this series?
I would say it's tough too, because I think that Thunder Talk are really good. So I don't think I can, in good conscience, say that LGD look more solid than Thunder Talk. So I would probably agree with them. I would probably say 6th.
Okay. That seems to be the consensus. I'm obviously hoping for something a little bit higher, but that is just me enjoying being a fan of good League of Legends. And as we said during this game of underdog stories, and LGD are absolutely an underdog in Ascend as a whole. Obviously -2 teams because Ascend is 8 teams, and we're predicting them at 6th. So they've definitely got something on the group. But it is really nice to see them back in Ascend, and I am hoping that they can aim a little bit higher. We will see as the season progresses whether they're able to capitalize on what they showed us today, Quax, and actually invest into this identity that they are finding for themselves in Ascend and make that everyone else's problem. As we think about the end of show here, MVP, I know we were memeing on it. You think it's actually Knight?
Begrudgingly, I will agree for it to be Knight. Yes. I mean, because part of me really wants to give Viper his flowers. I think that, this guy has been so unreasonably bullied throughout the entire year. Anytime even something remotely goes wrong for BLG, Viper is the first guy that gets the blame. So to see a redemption story come through from him, because he has been playing really well in Split 3, that would be something I absolutely support. But I can't, you know what? I am not above hype moments and aura. And Knight's play on the bot side was the personification of those things. So I'm giving him MVP for this game. And if he got MVP for both wins, then I think it's logical he gets it for the series.
Yeah, I'm on board with you that, first of all, I think that Knight he has a good argument for deserving MVP, as does Viper. And I would be happy with either of them, as you had mentioned. I think we're absolutely on the same page about that. And I think the one step further is that, I think that the broadcast is going to give it tonight. Because why would you not? This is one of those moments that, yes, BLG won a game, but like you said, it was incredibly flashy play from Knight to make it happen, and especially in those final moments to seal the doom, shall we say, of LGD.
Yeah.
It was a great series, and Viper did manage this lead well. The Caitlyn pick so early on is something that even a couple metas ago I would have been absolutely shocked to see, but now is feeling more and more like something that Viper can just pick up and dominate with.
I feel like Viper just has so many different champions that he's proficient on. I think that the Ezreal is obviously the one that comes to everybody's mind immediately, but in this split, he's already had 2 games of Xerath. He's won both of them, and he looked good doing it on top of that. And then you can add the Caitlyn to the list, which I think has transferred over from split number 2, as I would say that was probably his best champion back in spring as well. There are just a lot of characters this guy can play, and I think that versatility is something that we highlighted for all of BLG going into this series. If the best of 3 did end up going the distance, does end up coming to fruition in the end, and I think that Viper showed that in spades throughout this series. So a lot of credit over to him, a lot of credit over to BLG for maintaining the sharpness of having all of these different tools to be able to bust out whenever the moment needs it to.
You can already tell from the editing of the highlights reel, guys. You can tell. You can see it coming from a mile away. That is a Knight MVP. It's probably a Knight Series MVP as well. And to talk a little bit about the series for Knight, I do think that especially in game 1, his Cassiopeia was exceptional. Especially, again, compared to what we had seen from them earlier, and it is only natural that he brings it to a stunning conclusion with the MVP here, 9-0-1, an insane game from him, significantly lower KP than we saw out of Heng last game in his MVP, but remember, this guy was flame horizoning his lane opponent, so he didn't have time to participate in kills until the end game.
Not really. He was busy farming a side lane for 20 minutes, and then all of those resources just compounded into a really, really fun play on the bot side that I'm sure a bunch of people are going to be clipping and putting on social media as, oh my god, look at Knight, he did it again. I might be one of those people. But yeah, just overall, really solid series from BLG. I think that, again, we wanted to be convinced that this team was still in top form, that they were still the cream of the crop in the LPL. And a win like this convinces me that they can still just absolutely demolish anyone that they come across. And for LGD, I feel like it is a glimmer of hope of what this team can be if they can unlock that ceiling that we saw in game number 2.
Yeah, I think that this is a win for both teams, as weird as it can be to say that, but the fact that we got the game 1 win from BLG with LGD having a lead and in the early game, I think they can go back and deconstruct that. They can learn a lot from how BLG approached that, and that's really good for them in the future. LGD won a game, so it looks really good for them, like proof that they can actually do it against a top team, and then BLG closed things out, which obviously, if they had lost versus LGD, it would have just been doom and gloom on their socials for like 8 years. So this was the best way that both teams could find a win. LGD had their advantages. In some cases, they managed to convert them, but ultimately, BLG, the anticipated better team, was able to come out on top, as it was foretold. Quax, it has been an incredible day with some amazing League of Legends. We have got even more coming for you. If you liked watching both of these teams, they will both play again on Friday, I believe. I'm going to look at my notes. I'm straight up looking at my notes. So LGD are going to play WE on Friday, and BLG will be playing Top Esports on Friday as well. Of course, we have got more League of Legends for you coming up tomorrow, Thursday, NIP. It's a triple series day. We've got NIP, Weibo, EDG, WE, and Thunder Talk JDG. And not just if you liked seeing these teams play, but if you liked watching us cast, you and I will be back for the BLG series that is coming to you on Friday. A big thank you to everyone for tuning in, and a special thank you to our elite coffee supporters, Aaron Soup, Mung, Gelati, and Andrea Duran. I like the band Duran, so anything like that is gonna make me happy. Their pledged financial contributions helps level up the broadcast and give back to all of the casting crew that strive to give you an LPL English product every day. And of course, they let Quax dress as he is, very flashily. So thank you everyone for your support. It has been a wonderful day here on the LPL English. We look forward to seeing you for the rest of the week. And yeah, I think that's everything that